So in this video, we're going to talk about YouTube gurus' bad advice for content creators. And there's a lot of it, because that's the problem I have with what the gurus are saying. Most of them will say, oh, you've got to do this, must do that. You're going to lose your audience if you don't do this. Here's a huge mistake that you're doing.
One step forward and 10 steps back.
If you have spent any time at all trying to learn how to get better on YouTube, how to be more successful on YouTube, I should say, you probably have come across a lot of these videos and you probably feel like a dog chasing its own tail. And that's because there's so much conflicting information out there, and there's a lot of information that just doesn't work. And a lot of this information does not even consider where you are as a content creator, who you are, who your audience is, what your niche is. Also, where are you in your journey? How far along are you in your creation process? Are you just starting out? Are you building your catalog of videos? Do you already have a catalog and you're just trying to break out? So I'm gonna make a case as to why a lot of these things that the gurus are telling you are probably hurting you, and at minimum are just not necessary. And then a little later on, I'm gonna talk to you about 3 things that the gurus are telling you that I think actually can help you. There's an umbrella point that covers this whole video, and I'm gonna give you that right up front. You don't have to wait for it. And that is that any advice that stops you from creating videos is bad advice. Now, the first one I'm gonna talk about is rabbit hole content creation. For me, it completely messes with my mind. It's just making everything so much more difficult than it actually needs to be, in my opinion. Again, it might be just where I am in my journey, and maybe this totally makes sense to somebody who has 500,000 followers. And rabbit hole content, if you don't know what that is, maybe I've made it up, but that's what I call it anyway. It is when you're trying to make every one of your videos relate to the next video or the previous video, usually both. So you're trying to tie it in so that when viewers are watching this one video, they have something to click on to go deeper into the same subject, or which is obviously videos that you've done already. So then the next video that you're prepping for, you're just leveraging the last video that you did. And for me, that just feels so limiting. I can't really create the way that I want to create. I can't talk about the things that I want to talk about, and I can't be honest. So in a sense, that kind of video creation to me is dishonest. It's not natural. It's not authentic, as one of the key things that we're after when we're creating our content these days. So rather than struggling to stay authentic and try to create this rabbit hole content and a lot of these other tips that we're going to talk about, I think authenticity is king. And you only get there when you're honest with yourself. What is it that you want to talk about? You can use some of these tips to kind of make your edits a little bit better. And you'll notice I'm gonna go through these pretty quickly. Edit less trend. So these are these kind of videos, usually in the vlog format, where a lot of people are having success with putting out videos with virtually no edits. They just hit record and just talk to the camera for quite a while and then cut away. The problem I have with that is I wanna be a filmmaker, and that's me. Maybe you want to approach it differently, but I want to be a filmmaker. I love throwing in a little bit of B-roll. I don't like senseless B-roll, but if I'm trying to make my point, B-roll is a great way to do it. Picture's worth 1,000 words, the video's got to be worth more. So rather than just you looking at my ugly mug and having me talk to you and explain everything on camera, like a shot like this, but like for the entire video, and have all my mistakes and everything, authenticity is there, but in my opinion, it can just go a little bit too far. If you actually feel like you're struggling to hold on for me to get to my point, and that'll happen, not just me, but creators in general, it's sometimes difficult for them to say exactly what they want to say when the camera's rolling, when they're in their environment. This is what's nice about editing. And here's another way that I look at it, is I am doing a service for my viewer. They don't need to see all that crap. They don't need to see the garbage. They can. I don't need to hide it. There can be some authentic moments, but it's a courtesy to them. It's my job as a filmmaker to present my point as distinct as possible, in my opinion. Again, this is my brand of content creation and filmmaking. It might not be yours, but rather than taking guru's advice blindly and just feeling like we need to apply it, I feel like we are not asking ourselves those kinds of questions, and that's more important than following blindly to advice that probably in most cases does not apply to you. At least maybe not at this time, again, or maybe not in your niche, maybe not the way that you like to create videos and what it is that you're after. Authenticity is king. I'm gonna say it again, authenticity is king, and you're only gonna get there when you're authentic with yourself. You can't play authentic. You need to be it. And being it is just being honest with yourself and true to yourself. Okay, so we're just gonna move on to the next point now, and that is searching up audience appetite for your video title or your topic. And this is all well and good, and I can see the merit, the value in doing that, but I also see a bit of a problem here. And it's a problem that we dealt with in society in general, and that is that we are way too efficient sometimes. We take all the magic out of things, and then we get a lot of cookie cutter, same Me Too type stuff because and I know this isn't necessarily following a trend, but it kind of is, because you're searching up to see if there's an appetite, which means somebody is looking for it. A lot of people are looking for it. If not a lot of people are looking for it, why are you creating the video? Well, I'll tell you why you're creating the video. Because you're a content creator, because you are a filmmaker, because you are a storyteller. And this is my point. So we want to get back to that. And this seems completely unrelated, but in my mind, in my bent mind, to me, this is the same kind of thing. I'm here in Toronto. And the issue that I've had over the years since the 90s is that I used to love meeting up with friends, and we'd find a different coffee shop to go meet at all the time. Be like, oh, check out this place, some Italian or Portuguese place, or some Turkish coffee somewhere, or, just, some Greek place. And the thing about these types of businesses, they almost don't exist anymore. I mean, there's some spots, some pockets in Toronto that have those kinds of places still. But definitely when you come out to the suburbs, or even just the greater Toronto area in general, has lost that culture for efficiency. And here's my point. Starbucks is on almost every corner. And in Canada, we have Tim Hortons as well. And they have just taken over everything, and that is because they're the most efficient. They find the most efficient way of producing their product, and even more to the point, they actually buy up all the damn real estate, like on every little corner. Like when the traffic is going a certain direction, say in the morning or whatever, they know exactly what side of the road they should build their store on and cash in on all that. And then they would, for some time through the 90s and early 2000s, what I noticed is they would take two different businesses, like two Starbucks, and they would kind of like block out one of these like little mom and pop Italian places. Like they couldn't survive. There wasn't enough business to have them there, but they would put them there anyway, right? And then once they would basically be living on borrowed time, having a very difficult time, probably even themselves, but they've got the cash flow to do it. And they just killed the small guy. He couldn't do it anymore. He shuts down his shop. And then what do? They close down one of their Starbucks. So that's a little bit of a rant that I've gone on. But in essence, this is kind of the dark side of being super, super efficient. It takes all of the uniqueness out of what's in our community. And your content, your specific content is going to be different than every other person and unique. And there's going to be something about it that we're going to fall in love with, or your audience is going to fall in love with it. And They won't get a chance to if all you're doing is chasing trends and making sure you're the most efficient. You're just doing topics that everyone is searching for. And in the short run, the promise is that you're going to get a bunch of views. I've actually found that it doesn't happen like that. It just literally doesn't. If you have, 200,000 subscribers, and then you try one of these things that all these gurus are talking about, yeah, it works. If you have 0, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Not then. I think it's a work in progress thing, but my point is that why are we working towards something that we don't want? Why are we creating someone else's channel? Why are we creating stuff that we really can't sustain because we're not going to want to make that kind of content? Anyway, as you can see, I'm a little bit passionate about this part of the subject, and I have my opinions. But at the end of the day, ask yourself, does that make sense for you? And maybe you want to try it. Maybe you're just experimenting. But what I would suggest is don't lose sight of who you are. Put out 5 videos that are just you and what you want to talk about. And then maybe throw in one of those. And then go back and make another 4 or 5 videos. That way you're putting content out into the world that's unique. And the last point I'm just going to make, and we'll go real quick on this one, and that is recreating videos in your niche that are already successful. So it ties into this last point as well. Why are we creating content that is just the same as or Me Too content when honestly, we want to hear your authentic voice? And if you're building something, here's the other part of it. There's actually no way to win like this. There's nothing that you can actually do to actually get ahead with this when you're starting out, because you won't get the views anyway. You just won't. Like, they will claim, these gurus, that you can follow their steps and you're going to take your 50 view video or 10 view video and you're now going to get 5,000, 10,000 views on your video. And then they'll make their little disclaimers. Oh, well, it depends on blah, 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 blah. Yeah, because it's not going to work, ever. It's just not. If you're at 10, 15, 20 videos, you're not getting that through their methods. You will get that through creating something that doesn't really exist out there, that connects with an audience, that the algorithm has figured out who your audience is and is doing that and sending it to them. So, in essence, in the short run, it's luck. In the long run, you can look back and you can see, oh, I've been building this. The algorithm can look back and say, oh, this is where you're headed, and start helping you along. And I believe, I'm not one of these guys saying that the algorithm's against you, because it's absolutely not. It's definitely there to help you. And I feel for it, if it was a person. Because how do you help someone when you don't know what it is that they're doing? Because it's not human. It can't just talk to you and figure out who you are. Not yet, anyway. So for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the kind of content that I want to create. I'm going to do the kind of editing that I want to do. I'm going to put the B-roll in that I want. I'm going to find how to make myself a little bit more efficient for what it is that I want, so that I can produce a good amount of content. I don't have to do a crazy amount, but if I set a goal for myself and I want to put out, let's say, 3 videos a week, then I have to be able to at least justify to myself that if I put out 1 a week, well, that 1 should be, if I'm smart, should be a little more elaborate, a little more flushed out, a little more creative of a video. And then I can be satisfied. Hey, one a week is still good. If I'm putting out 7 a week and they really say nothing and I'm just chasing my tail, I don't really see a point in that, because I don't see any sustainable growth. I don't see a brand there. I don't see who I am in those videos, because I'm just kind of following trends. I'm putting content for the sake of content. I'm not actually saying anything. And it doesn't fall in line with who I am. the creation process or what the content actually is. So that's what I want to pay attention to. That's what I'm going to pay attention to, is who am I? What is it that I want to say? And these are not questions to really investigate, because I already know what I like to put out there. It's just my own curiosity is what it is. Like when I want to create a video and I feel good about the video at the end of the creation process, usually that video was something that I had a curiosity about. I researched it, or let's say it's a product and a piece of gear, and I wanted to try something different with it. Like I put out a video pretty recently about using a lapel microphone like this one here compared to the one that's on the DJI Action 4 on the body itself. And did it make sense? Like, do I need to have this? Or should I use that? Or, and just the questions, the curiosity that I had around that. So when I created the video, I was kind of creating it for myself. It's something that I felt like was useful. And hopefully you all found it useful as well. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it here. And yeah, these little tricks of the trade, like what I just did, I'll link it here. That whole thing, that you might think that's back to that rabbit hole content thing. But if it's natural, why not, right? If it's natural, if it fits into what you're doing, it's nice to kind of earmark that technique, but don't follow technique for technique's sake. Create your content and then go into your grab bag of techniques to enhance the experience. Okay, yeah, and editing. So I'm sure you've heard the conflicting information out there about editing. And what I mean is there's a lot of people out there that will say that you should edit for retention. They will say that your first 3 or 5 seconds or 10 seconds, there's so many different numbers out there, but the first few seconds of your video, you want to make sure you have a couple different scenes and some shot movement and all these like checklist items that you're supposed to try to do and fit into the front end of your video. And then throughout, constantly retention editing. And then, like I said before, then there's the other type that is saying that, no, you shouldn't have any edits at all. Just make it raw, and that's authentic. Yes, authenticity is king. But like I said before, to be authentic is to be authentic to yourself. It doesn't come from just a video with no edits. So same thing as I've been saying all along, ask yourself the question, does this video need some B-roll? Is it a little bit boring on the front end? So use these things as like suggestions, not like you must, because that's the problem I have with what the gurus are saying. Most of them will say, oh, you've got to do this, must do that. You're going to lose your audience if you don't do this. Here's a huge mistake that you're doing. And these things are hurtful to you as a creator because they demotivate you. They confuse you, and if you're confused, you just don't move. You don't do anything. I'm sure you've felt this before. And the other thing is that when you do move and you make a decision, you're second guessing it. And you just don't have the conviction behind it because you're so worried about, am I doing what I'm supposed to be? Like, who said? Who said? Like with any authority, like who the hell said? For every one content creator that's been successful using one of these techniques, another one has been as successful or more not using that same technique. For every YouTuber that says you must outsource your editing, we have Casey Neistat, who does all of his own editing. So, like, you're killing me here with the effing bullshit. So don't drive yourself crazy. Create the kind of content that you want to create. Consider some of these ideas for like seconds and then cut it off. Just think about it for a few seconds. Like, is the front end of this video a little bit boring? Could I put a little movement, or does it not necessary? Not necessary. Okay, move on. That's it. Or, yeah, you know what? I'm kind of boring myself on the front end of this video, so let me do something there. So what are the 3 things that the gurus are telling you that are actually useful? Well, pretty simple actually. We can all use better thumbnails, and we can all use better titles. And we could all probably do a little bit better at aligning our promises from the titles into the content itself and making sure we're creating ultimate value for our audience. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, give me a thumbs up. If you don't already subscribe, maybe hit that subscribe button for more content like this. And thank you so much for watching. I'm going to catch you in the next one.